how did Phoenix, Arizona attract the single most important investment under the Made in America initiative? We look at the rapid growth of TSMC's commitment in the city over this decade and how the city's expanding cooperation with Taiwan beyond chips with our next guest. Christine Mackay, President and CEO of the Greater Phoenix Economic Council, was part of a delegation from Phoenix that recently landed in Taipei to deepen cooperation in all areas of technology. Christine, great to have you on the program. Now, while you were in Taipei, TSMC made a very important announcement at its earnings conference, which directly impacts the city of Phoenix. Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. We were so excited to be on the ground in your beautiful city when TSMC made the announcement during its earnings call that it would continue its expansion at their Phoenix campus by adding Fab 4 and an advanced packaging plant on the campus. So for us, it was so exciting. It really has culminated 6 years of a partnership together in really trying to turn Phoenix into the kind of a world-class location for chip manufacturing.
Now, before we go into the nuts and bolts of what that means for Phoenix, let's take a step back here. You are one of the architects of the cooperation with TSMC, which started, and your endeavor with the mayor also started in 2019. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, absolutely. So Phoenix has kind of the greater Phoenix area has been home to semiconductor companies for decades. It was the location in 1952 where Motorola first started its expansion. Intel came in the 1970s, and we have Microchip and NXP and a number of others. And we had identified in the time leading up to 2019, wanting to add additional semiconductor companies into our manufacturing base here in the greater Phoenix area. And we'd worked with TSMC for a few years and really hadn't gotten anywhere. And in 2019, it was the 30th anniversary of Phoenix's sister city relationship with Taipei. And so our Phoenix Sister Cities organization planned a delegation, and Mayor Gallego and I were part of that delegation, along with another colleague, Stefan Frisia, part of that delegation. And we called and asked TSMC if they would take a meeting with us. And they agreed to a 30-minute meeting with the mayor and Stefan and I. We flew to Taiwan, of course, for the celebration of Sister Cities, and took the meeting with TSMC. That 30 minutes turned into 2.5 hours. And as I like to say, the rest is history.
And history in the making. Part of your trip here was to engage Taiwan companies beyond semiconductors. You also visited Hsinchu, which is the Taiwan Semiconductor Hub, to study how they've created a science park. Why was that?
Part of our conversation that we had with them, as I mentioned, we hadn't had success in locating them in Arizona in the years leading up to 2019. And what they shared with us was they really like being part of the Science and Technology Park, and that Science and Technology Park having their supply chain and like-minded companies and people that they can solve challenges with and all of those solutions right around them was critically important to them. And they truly feel like that is part of the success that they've seen over the last 30 years is being part of that park. And when we came in 2019, we knew that was a conversation we'd had with them before, and they had shared with us how critical that Science and Technology Park was. So we had been working diligently to create that Science and Technology Park around them. So our trip to Taiwan this year and going to Tainan was to see that science park and to see how they operate and see how the park supports them, which, you learn from best practices. And Tainan and others, they truly run world-class science and technology parks that are the envy of the world. And learning from the best, we figured was our best way to go about it. And that was part of our trip this time.
Now, Taiwan, of course, has huge ambitions with its semiconductor industry, and Phoenix does too, from the sounds of it, along with a number of data centers, I understand. How are you planning to manage the energy needed for this kind of growth?
Well, we came to see TSMC for the first time in October of 2019, and TSMC called us and asked us to come back in December. And when we went back, we brought our utility companies with us so they could have those conversations. So the utility and our water providers could understand the needs and demands of such an incredible company. So we were on the ground for a day and had really robust meetings. So when we got back here in December of 19, we all came together and said, what's going to be our plan? How are we going to make this sustainable? How are we going to ensure that we always have the water and the energy for these types of companies? And I can tell you, if you go back to our water master planning, it goes back to 1942. It's a desert environment. We've always known we live in a desert, and we've master planned our water incredibly well. So we feel very secure about our water opportunities to provide to our companies and our power opportunities as well.
Okay, so let's talk about human resources now.
Yes.
One of the issues also Taiwan is grappling with is workforce development and grooming a skilled workforce, talent training, education. What does Phoenix say, or what did you identify here that you feel like that Taiwan is doing or working on that you can take away to Phoenix?
Absolutely. So the way that the Taiwan companies bring their workforce in to train them right in the facilities, whether it is in biosciences, whether it's in semiconductor, whether it's in other advanced industries, I think the partnerships Taiwan has with its universities and its educational institutes, where the companies truly partner with the companies truly partner with the universities and with the workforce training to set the curriculum up to ensure success of that workforce when it comes in. We saw that, and particularly when we were working and talking with Tainan, and they shared with us how they really support their companies in those workforce training opportunities. And that's something we've already taken away from a previous visit that we had in Taiwan. And we've implemented that within our community college system now already, which is an apprenticeship training program here to bring in a new workforce for our advanced manufacturing.
Phoenix is lucky in the fact that it is has a much bigger population to pull from. And one of the trends we've been seeing is the Silicon Valley exodus, where many of those professionals from Silicon Valley are moving to more affordable and livable cities. Has Phoenix benefited from that at all?
Oh, absolutely. So, Greater Phoenix has been the fastest growing region in the country for more than a decade. So we not only have our natural population increases with our existing population, but we have a tremendous in-migration of new people who are kind of voting with their feet where they want to live and where they want to raise their families. And we saw this particularly increase during the pandemic, where people wanted open space. They wanted to be in the beautiful mountains and hike and have backyards. So they really were relocating from really urban areas to come into a less densely populated, meaning more square feet per person to be able to enjoy being outside. But as you look at that in California, we have always seen a tremendous influx from California. I think right now, if you look at this last year, I think the most recent numbers I saw of our 200,000 in population increase in 2024, 53,000 of them came from California. So it really works well. They're immediately adjacent to us, so they can still keep company operations in California, and we're a really easy driver, really easy flight back and forth. So those exodus you're seeing are truly benefiting Greater Phoenix.
That's a very fast population growth, along with
Yes.
the influx we're seeing both in investments and possibly labor from overseas. How are the Phoenicians dealing with it, and how are you accommodating that kind of growth?
What I love about my region, what I love about Greater Phoenix, I grew up here, so I've been here my whole life, and it's how warm and welcoming the population is in Greater Phoenix. It's always been this way. So I'll give you a few examples where we're seeing, tremendous influx from people coming in from Taiwan and other areas around the world. We created in 2020, we created the state's first Taiwan Independence Day Double 10 celebration. And that year there were 300 or 400 people that attended. We had it inside. This last year, it was our 5th year. It was it's now the largest Double 10 celebration in the entire country. We had more than 7,000 people in attendance. There was a drone show, a night market, just incredible things to ensure that that people that are coming in feel like they're welcome. They feel like they're home. We have a full Mandarin labor and delivery unit now with one of our hospitals out by TSMC. We have a full emergency room where Mandarin is the primary language spoken. everyone in Taiwan, of course, for the most part, speaks English probably better than I do. But when you're sick or your child is sick or you're hurt, you want to be able to talk to someone the way you want to. So that was incredibly important to us. One of our school districts created a Taiwan summer camp so that our citizens in the Greater Phoenix area could learn all about the Taiwanese culture and learn how to best support and learn about your history, which we thought was lovely. We've seen a number of Asian and Taiwanese grocery stores. We've located the announcements of 2 Din Tai Fungs now. But again, to really support our new families and our new friends. We see this between Taiwan and Greater Phoenix. It's a long-term relationship to benefit both sides, not to just be the benefit of Phoenix or the benefit of Taiwan, but Phoenix and Taiwan have had a decades and decades old relationship, and we want that to continue.
It's great to see Xiaolongbao diplomacy doing its part. Now, one of the other missions you had on your trip here was to engage startups beyond the semiconductor industry.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about that and what kind of startups you're looking to bring over?
What we found when Mayor and I came over in 2019, we met with a number of early stage companies. We met with Startup Island, we met with your Startup Stadium, we met with all of the different groups that were there. And in fact, when we came back, a group of bio companies followed us back and met with the mayor. And since then, they've been coming in every year for a delegation right before the International Bioscience Trade Show that happens in the United States. So we've now had a 6-year relationship with those companies, so much so that late last year, we created a Taiwan showcase here on the Phoenix Bioscience Core in partnership with Arizona State University, which is allowing those companies to bring their wearable and medical devices, put them on display here, and then sell to Arizona hospitals and Arizona providers. What they'd shared with us when we were, Vice Mayor O'Brien and I were there in May, what those companies shared was it was really hard for them to haul their equipment back and forth to be able to showcase to U.S. hospitals and U.S. medical providers. And we brainstormed the idea when we were all sitting in a room together to create a showcase. And truly a shout out to Arizona State University and Wexford Science and Technologies for giving us the location to set it up. And now there are approximately 20 Taiwanese biosciences companies that have their devices on display and are flying back and forth to now regularly sell to U.S. hospitals.
And Christine, to take you back home from Taipei, you were on the inaugural flight of a second carrier that's doing direct flights from Taipei to Phoenix. So we almost have daily flights, Taipei-Phoenix, Phoenix-Taipei now. Can you tell us who is on that flight or who you hope to be on those flights to fill them up? And why did you feel it was necessary to have that extra connection?
With TSMC coming, I'll share with you, and I'll get the numbers wrong, but I'm going to be pretty close. In 2019, I think we had 13 daily passengers between Taiwan and between Taipei and Phoenix. Fast forward to today, we're 150 daily passengers, and that really is because of TSMC, their employees, their companies, their suppliers, all of the different groups, the bio companies that are coming here, all of the different that's coming here. So those passengers on the plane are the business community that is coming back and forth. It's Phoenix businesses going to Taiwan to work with your companies there. It's Taiwanese companies coming here. But I think the thing that we're most excited about now is really opening up Taiwan for Phoenix tourists and allowing, Arizona tourists to come in and see. I've had the privilege now of being to Taiwan 7 times, and it is such a gorgeous country. And when we came last week, we brought the president and CEO of our Visit Phoenix, our Convention and Visitors Bureau, who partnered with his Taiwan counterpart to set up marketing messages so we could set up true tourist opportunities between Taiwan and Greater Phoenix and Greater Phoenix and Taiwan.
Wow, definitely an indication of this growing partnership and a great metric to show how much this partnership is growing. And I hope one of those flights brings you back here, Christine, on holiday too, and perhaps in our studios to continue this conversation.